can see it. I can read it. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Oh, hi everybody. Peace, 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 peace. Welcome to my TVDMV. Happy that everyone is here. Today is Thursday, August 17th, and we are feeling good. We are alive. Our spirits are high. And peace, everybody. Abdullah, how are
Peace.
you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm excellent, excellent.
I'm excited about tonight's presentation.
Absolutely, we are.
Gonna be
Before we
doing.
get into our etymology and then our main lesson, of course, I want to start off again um, talking about the war against women, in particular, melanated women. I feel like there's a war, a patriotic war against all women that's been going on since the time that most women came out their mom's wombs. However, because I am melanated, because I talk about melanated women, for anyone that may listen that's not melanated, this is nothing against other cultures. I'm speaking specifically of our women. And today I wanted to focus on how many women seem to be dying giving birth in hospitals. It's an alarming rate, and I don't really know what's happening in those hospitals. And I don't know if you know anybody in your circle that has passed away, but I know my grandmother had 8 children on one side, my father's side, my mother's side. I have 8 children, never had a cut or anything. I don't understand what's going on. It's another war, to eliminate melanated people, I believe. But I was reading an article, and even though the sister in the article was speaking, she was saying Black people, we know what people mean when they're saying that. But I definitely wanted to just talk about this and ask anyone in the chat if you're familiar with this war going on and how we're dying in hospitals. Every week, I'm going to try to talk about topics that have to do with this war against women because it's real. It is real, and we have to stay strong. Brothers, we need you. We're not at war against you. We're side by side with you in this. We're not in front of you, behind you. We're beside you, and we need you. And having said that, it's Thursday, uh, and we're going to get started. Hope everybody's energy is high. Abdullah, let's
We
rock
need
out.
Moorish national government structure. Moorish national government structure. That's the key because you're talking about centuries of European Spanish, French, Dutch, Portuguese, English. That's Great Britain conquest and colonization of our land. You're talking about generations of mass denationalization of our people by the Spaniards, the Spanish crown, the French crown, the English, that's Great British crown, the Dutch Republic, the Portuguese crown, classifying us as Negro and Spanish and Indian and Blackamoor and Blackmore and Black and Noor, all right, and Ethiopian. So we have those that cannot be addressed as individuals or individual small groups. I mean, so we need a national Moorish government provincial structure to address these centuries of European conquest, colonization, linguistic genocide, biological genocide,
Mm.
cultural genocide, subjugation, mass denationalization, the collapse of our Moorish state due to Spanish, French, Portuguese, and French conquest. The United States is a trustee of them all. So United States is an extension of Spanish, French, Portuguese, English/British, and French conquest and colonization of our land. United States is a trustee. So and I know that a lot of conscious more because they don't know the true history and they're not making the connection they'll just say United States, 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 and they don't talk Spanish. They don't talk Spain. They don't mention France. They don't they talk as if that's ended. That French colonization and conquest. That the French has nothing to do with our conquest. That the English and the Dutch have nothing to do with our conquest. It's just United States. It's just United States. United States. United States. And Najma, these conscious Moors are so wrong with that. And this is why we have to study. United States. How did United States was able to gain over our land? Through treaties. The treaty with Spain. I just want to be clear. I just want to, before I go into that, because I want people to understand what I mean by that. The United States is a trustee. So I made a statement. I want to be clear on what I'm saying. Great Britain was ceded vast portions of our land by the French in 1763. The Northwest, Canada, all right. Spain, France ceded the Louisiana Territory to Spain in 1762 through the Treaty of Fontainebleau. All right, I'm just talking chain of custody now. All right, Great Britain, France ceded large portion Canada, the Northwest Territory to Great Britain in the peace treaty in 1763. France, Spain receded the Louisiana Purchase territory to France in 1801. France could not hold on to the Louisiana territory because of the revolution they had with Haiti. The revolution they had with Haiti put them in debt. So they had to, that's where they sold the Louisiana territory to United States because they needed finance. They needed a large cash flow.
Because they lost?
They lost, but they also needed finance. They didn't. The Louisiana territory had nothing to do with the French Revolution. When I'm sorry, Haiti didn't control that. The fight wasn't over the Louisiana territory. The fight between Haiti and France was not over the Louisiana territory.
Okay.
Let me be clear. So I want to be clear. It was not over the Louisiana territory. What I'm saying is because France was in a long war with Haiti, wars it's costly. War is costly. France couldn't hold on to the Louisiana territory as far as finances. I'm talking about finances.
Okay. They
couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to maintain the Louisiana territory. I'm talking about vast land. Vast. That's 15 states. United States created 15 states from the Louisiana territory. All right? So you're talking about vast Moorish land. They couldn't hold on to it. So they were in financial peril. So they they sold it to United States. United States turned around and created 15 states. All right, so I'm just talking chain. I'm showing chain that we keep leaving them out. We keep leaving France, these conscious Moors, they leave France out of their discussion. They leave Great Britain. I'm clear that these French subjects, the French and Spanish subjects who lived in Louisiana, they didn't leave. They never left to go back to no France. They didn't go to no France. When the King of France ceded the Louisiana territory to Spain through the Treaty of Fontainebleau, in 1762. The French subjects stayed. The French subjects stayed. They didn't go to France. They were under so Spain, so the whole time while Spain was there operating, controlling it, the French subjects still being there. There is a principle in international law that deals with personal rights. The treaty didn't remove the French subjects' personal rights. So when the when the Louisiana Purchase, there's the Article 3 of the Louisiana Purchase Treaty is the citizenship clause. So that's how the French subjects became citizens of the United States, and their personal rights maintained. So United States is a trustee. United States oversees the Spanish land grants and French land grants. They oversee that. New Orleans functions on French law. New Orleans functions on French civil law. French civil law is applied in United States courts in New Orleans. Why, Abdullah? Why are they using French civil law in New Orleans today, Abdullah? Glad you asked. Because there were a lot of because the French had a lot of property, personal rights. So that's what I'm saying. So we don't know the history. And I want to thank Shem Malachi Bey, because Shem Malachi Bey brought the international law aspect. I saw these treaties we're reading. I didn't pay much attention to them. I didn't, because United States, 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 United States. So I didn't really pay much attention. All right. So I'm like, oh, I said, oh, shucks. So United States is just an extension of French, Spanish, Portugal, English, that's British, conquest and colonization. They're maintaining that. They're maintaining and protecting the personal rights under the laws of nations of the French subjects, Spanish subjects. How are we involved in this? This is our land. That's how. We're not party to those treaties. So my point I'm making, that all of the land that United States is having control over, they got through land cession treaties, through Great Britain relinquished in the 1783 Treaty of Paris. His Britannic Majesty, Article 1 of the 1783 Definitive Peace Treaty. His Britannic Majesty relinquished to the 13 original states, and while it's relinquished the Northwest Territory, which they got from Great Britain, where they got from France. So I'm showing the chain of custody. So this is how did the United States gain control of these lands? Through treaties with France and Great Britain, Spain. That's what they're operating on. United States functions on that. And to say that France and Spain is no longer involved when they granted land grants, the Spanish crown granted land grants in the 16 and 1700s. The French crown granted land grants. United States Congress enacted the Land Grant Commission. The Spanish Land Grant Commission was enacted by the United States Congress to oversee Spanish land grants that was granted by the Spanish crown to soldiers and families during the 16 and 1700s. So to say that Spain and France, conscious Moors don't know enough. They don't know enough. United States, United States. Now we got to get out of that. United States, United States, United States, United States. Because you just see it. You just see United States. You don't know about the. You don't know about these. I mean, that think these treaties are still inoperative. That's how the United States gained control of the land through treaties. All right, we can go. I just wanted to, you know, I wanted to provide some clarity because I got to provide clarity. Because
I'm clear. I'm clear with the treaties. Um, but in the present day and time with the war, this war, back circling back around to this war
Mhm.
against women, I get that it has a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's all, part of this big plan, but it's not talked about enough. As you can see, these melanated sisters carrying babies, we continue to give birth, but when you look at the mortality rate of melanated women versus women
I'm with
everywhere
you.
else right now, right in this present time of 2023, it is totally mind-blowing to see how many women and children and babies are dying in hospitals. I mean, and this is before COVID. It's getting worse. So we need to get back into our studies, women, of knowing how to help women to give birth at home. It used to be very popular. Some women are still doing it. Some women are still involved. My grandbaby is getting ready to be born, and I'm happy to say her mom is giving birth in a pool. you know. So because they're killing our babies, I'm going to give every week some kind of synopsis about melanated women because we're left out even with what's happening in the murdering of a lot of melanated men. There's just as many women being murdered by their husbands, boyfriends. We're under bondage as well. And again, for the conscious Moorish women, unconscious Moorish women, we are not at war with you, Moorish men. We are not, but we're not going to be abused mentally, physically, or any other kind of way. These babies that are in these sisters' stomachs, we give birth and we have to maintain and demand that we be respected. And some conscious and unconscious Moorish men that are disrespecting women and are walking around here calling themselves leaders in our community, you're going to be called out. You get ready to get called out because it's too much. I'm tired of women calling me, being abused by these men, right? And they're afraid to say something because these men are so powerful in the community. You get ready to be called out. I'm the same woman when I was practicing Sunni Islam and giving up some of these brothers in the masjid, beating on their wives, and then coming into the masjid acting like they're holier than thou. I'm telling you now, you're going to be called out. You need to stop. Get yourselves together. Stop. You're not going to do this to other men. Leave the women alone. We're not competing with you. We don't have power to fight you physically. That's not why we're here. So if you can't respect us, get out of the movement and do something else and stop faking the funk. And that's
Now,
my piece of that.
where I was coming from, I'm coming from restoring our government. I hear
I
what you're
got it.
saying. I'm coming from restoring, meaning facilitating the restoration of our Moorish government
I
so
get
that
it.
we can regain our sovereign control and power to address these matters ourselves. All right. That we don't, that the meaning that our condition, those are symptoms. Our condition is a result of European conquest and subjugation. All right, meaning that so in order for us to really address these, I'm talking about address these matters where there's permanent fixture, we must restore government structure among the Moors. I'm coming from that perspective. I'm
Absolutely,
coming,
we must. We
yeah,
must.
yeah.
And have women on boards where we can chop some of these heads off because that's what
There's
needs to
still
happen.
government to come from a meaning do it without. All right, I'm talking from a government perspective where we do due process. We bring the brothers or sisters in through on the injustice. They're not going to no European courts. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking restoring government among our people. We haven't done that, has not been the case for quite some time because of Spanish, French, Scott, a Portuguese, English conquest. United States is the extension of all that. I'm coming from that perspective. I hear where you're coming from. You know, I'm coming from. We must continue to push Moorish government structure. Moorish government structure. I know we're not there. I know we're not there. We'll never get there because I know, not you, Najma, not you. I can hear conscious Moors say now because we've been on the classes. We ain't there yet. We ain't there yet. We ain't there yet. I'm saying we'll never get there if you don't teach it. I know we ain't there. But how are we going to get there if we don't teach it and facilitate the structure? How are we going? I'm just talking pure logic, please. I'm not the most intelligent man. I'm not all that intelligent. I'm saying just from pure logic, if we don't teach it and help work to facilitate it, we'll never get there. And that's the response from students that come to our classes. We ain't there yet. Every time we get somebody, a couple people. When Shem talks government structure, consular notification, consular courts, and talks government structure, international law, we have some people will say, we ain't there yet. We ain't there yet. We got to deal right now. Right now. So as to dismiss what Shem is saying, as to imply what Shem says is irrelevant, unimportant. Shem, you ain't dealing with right now. Shem, he is dealing with right now. We need government, national government structure, so where we can address the centuries of European conquest and colonization of our land, mass denationalization, you know, the medical genocide, biological genocide, linguistic genocide. These individual processes will never get there. He is dealing with right now. And I greatly appreciate Shem for sacrificing and giving his time and teaching. He don't have to do this. He don't have to teach nobody, jack. The fact that he's sacrificing and teaching. We got free classes on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. We got the Moorish Body Politic Formation class, Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations. We got some classes we sell too, but we have quite a few free classes. So this is directed to these conscious Moors who attack us every time we pushing government structure among the Moors.
Absolutely. I hear you. That's what I mean. Some of these conscious Moors that attack women, right? It's side by side. I hear what you're saying. The woman is right next to what you're saying. We're left out. And so I hear what you're saying about the government, but without us, nobody would be here.
When you talk government, you're talking women. All right.
More. I want more women. More women. More.
No. Let me be clear on the principle. Let me talk principle now. I'm talking principle. When I say government, from an ancient principle, the foundational principle of government is women. That's the foundation principle. This is why nations are referred to as she. So when I'm talking government, I'm talking women as a foundational principle. I want people, both men and women, to understand this principle. This is the ancient principle. Why are nations referred to as she? Flags referred to as she, because that's an ancient fundamental principle of civilization. Because it's women that give birth. And the principle of women give birth to nations. And when nations are female in principle. because that's why we say the mother. You notice I say our mother is in the hospital. Our mother is in a coma. So by talking, by working to facilitate and restore Moorish government structure, we're working to restore the honor and principle of womanhood and
Ashe.
the protection for our women. Because without that, there ain't no protection for our women. There isn't no protection for our women without the restoration of Moorish government structure.
I wanted to read this comment real quick, but you're right. The protection of women, and while you're on the protection of women,
To
women
Moorish
go
government
to
structure.
the range,
Moorish
learn
government
how to
structure.
shoot. Don't be afraid of guns and protecting yourself. You can't wait for somebody. Find somebody in your community that can teach you properly, and stay armed. It's your natural born given right. So
Let me address that,
without
Naja,
government,
real quick. We got real quick, because we got to be careful with that. Be careful.
careful with
When you
what?
say your natural God-given right, I hear you.
To protect
I hear you.
ourselves. Yes.
No. I hear you. Let me describe. Anyone classifies nigga color black, got it. All right, because we got it. We got to put this out there, because we cannot put out there. We don't want to teach that our people classified as nigger color black got rights. They don't. That's not a people. This is
Natural, born
no,
given.
no. I'm saying that we cannot deal with the emotion of it. Our people classified as nigger color black. Blacks a fiction and law. They ain't no rights. They ain't no rights. So it's
Yeah.
no.
Go
When
ahead.
you talking, just hear me out, because this is key, because we cannot push a misconcept. We can't push a misconcept. We can't push a misconcept that Moors classified nigger color black got a right to defend themselves. And therefore, you gotta understand what black is. You gotta understand what that is. That's a fiction and law. That is major.
I wasn't coming from a black perspective. I'm saying it's our God-given, natural born coming into this world right. It's almost
I
like
want to address the fiction and law category,
I
and
wasn't
that
talking about that. But go ahead.
because our people, we keep saying that black people are being mistreated. You can't mistreat no black people. There's no such people. And then people say, well, you know what I mean? No. We can't. Don't allow that. Don't allow, you know what I mean. Don't allow. We cannot allow, you know what I mean. Black a fiction in law. There is no right connected to that fiction. We know there are people that breathe and eat who are classified as black nigger color, but that fiction takes them out of treaty protection and international law protection. They're feeding us that these quote unquote black people have some rights. That's a fiction. We got to hound that. That's very important that we push that, because we've been played. We've been played thinking that rights connected to some black people. There's no such people.
Right. I wasn't speaking for
All right.
that.
That's very important that I emphasize that point.
Okay. Let me read this
Very
comment
important.
real quick.
We cannot deal with the emotion of it. They're beating us that way. They're indoctrinating us. Najma, they have indoctrinated us with that. And we're being abused because of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rights connected to black people. There's no rights connected to black people. Meaning black people is not a people. It's a fictional law.
Correct.
There's no rights connected to a people who's classified under that fictional law. Let me put it. There's no rights connected to a people who's classified as a fictional law as on the black category. There's no rights. So I can't argue that. I can't. It would be wrong for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be. We will not be respected by the nations of the world. We will not be respected by the nations of the world by saying, black people, they're abusing black people, and black people got it right. We will not be respected by the nation of the earth. We must show the nation of the world that we're teaching our people who they are, and that blacks they fixing law. And you cannot push that on the international community that black people, are being abused. There's no such people. They're playing us. They're playing us. They're playing us.
Someone said without government structure.
This is a major, major, major hurdle we got to overcome. It is major, major, a monstrous hurdle that we must overcome.
Abdullah,
we ain't going nowhere without overcoming this monstrous hurdle.
You ready for this?
There's no way. There's no way. There's no what else to discuss. There's nothing else to discuss. Because they put that on us, so that, and then got us believing that we are black. They got us believing that we are black. Got us believing that the mistreatment is because of our complexion. They got us believing that. So we keep clinging on to this fiction and law category and try to give it life. You can't give it life. What does Shem say about, and Shem really does a great job, is that when he draws the analogy of, an author, a playwright, writing characters in. And that's what black is. Negro, Indian, colored, African American. These are characters in a play. They're fictions in law. And they indoctrinated us into falsely thinking that they are real. We ain't going nowhere as long as we have that mindset. It's not happening.
Can you hear me, Abdullah?
All right, it's not happening.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me.
Am I muted?
Can you hear me now? One second, family. Technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Somebody called me, and I should have. When I get a call, that was what's happened. I should have just.
Oh.
I should have. When I got that call, I should have clicked out. I should have came out and came back in.
Okay.
I declined the call and continued talking, and I forgot. Now I know. Whenever I get a call, I'm on my cell phone. I have to decline the call and got to come back out. I have to come out and come back in. That's what happened.
Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice?
I couldn't hear you before. I can hear you now. We're good. I went back out. I just went back out.
So here's somebody said, without government structure, we're still begging instead of demanding. What do you think?
I definitely agree with that. So, because without government structure, once again, the reason why we're begging and not demanding, because without government structure, to go back to my analogy, our mother is in the hospital. So without our mother as our launching pad, without our mother as our protective umbrella, without our mother as our political structure, we're subjugated under colonial rule, and United States is an extension of Spain, French, English, the Dutch colonization and conquest and subjugation. So he's absolutely right. But absolutely right. That's why they did. That's why they collapsed our state, and this is why they classified us as black, Negro, colored, Indian, blackamoor, and so forth, African American, because they know that those are fictional laws that they create. They own that. They own those. So we are the estate. So they create trust. And so we are the estate, our bodies. So you need our mother has to speak for us. I mean, we have to restore government structure. What's been happening, my observation for the past 30 years, is that conscious Moors have been doing individual cases. But what is that going to get us though? It doesn't, meaning that the national principle is not being applied. Let me explain by that. What I mean by that. A French national in China, is beat down by Chinese cops. The French government or the French consul in China or French ambassador to China is not going to address it from an end of like these conscious Moors address it. They're not going to address it like you see these conscious Moors addressing from an individual. They're going to address it that's an attack on France. We talking about one Chinese, one French. We talking about one French national being beat down by French Chinese cops. The French ambassador to China is going to address it from a national principle perspective that you beat all of France. You beat down all of France. They're not going to address it meaning, yes, they'll address it from you beating down that individual, but it's going to mean that the principle perspective is it's an attack against France. We have to restore government structure so it can be addressed that way. What's been happening is that because we have not restored Moorish government structure and we're addressing it from an individual perspective, the national principle perspective is not being applied. And once again, I want to thank Shem Malachi Bey, for his sacrifice. I'm going to take up for him.
Peace,
for his
Shem.
sacrifice.
Hey, peace. How you doing?
Hard work,
I'm well.
his dedication, over the years.
Sounds
All
like
right.
a window.
Yeah, Shem, you got the fan. Turn the fan off.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, fast.
Yeah, it's going to drown you out because you're going to be doing all right. So Najma, we're going to just we'll deal with that next week. All right, we're going to go right to the capitulation, history of capitulation. Last week Shem had said several times in his presentation that on discussing the history of extraterritoriality, and that's on page what I'm going to be reading from. Now, just the Najma will have it up. I'll be reading from page 311, Moors and Masonry Part 2, Chapter 9, starting from 311, Moors and Masonry Part 2. All right, she'll bring that up. All right, this is where I'll be coming from. Chapter 9. All right, chapter 9 title is, the title of chapter 9 is Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Jurisdiction, Capitulatory Extraterritorial Consular Jurisdiction. All right, that's also I'll be reading from this start. This starts. Is that the first? Yeah, here we go. That's it. That's it. All right, there we go. So that's the page 311 of Moors and Masonry, page 311 of Moors and Masonry, part 2, chapter 9. This is what I'm reading from. All right. This is an excerpt from the United States Consular Counter Memorial. This is the excerpt of the 600 pages of the United States Counter Memorial. United States filed, had 6 months to file a counter memorial to Francis Memorial, and it's called that. The initial motion is called a memorial in international law. The counter motion to that is called a counter memorial. All right. So France, the United States filed a counter memorial, and that. So this is part of that. All right. So this is and in that, embodied in that 600-page United States counter memorial is a history of capitulation, extraterritorial consular jurisdiction. All right. The principle, and so this is what Shem was. I just wanted to read this and direct people to the book who have Moors and Masonry Part 2, that the history of that we're not coming out of left field. Shem is not coming out left field. That we got to give them a foundation of where we coming from. We got to give them a solid foundation of the history, extensive history of capitulation, which is now known as extraterritoriality. All right, here we go. The principle of extraterritoriality was observed as well in all Arab countries. The question is still debated among historians whether the document known as the Testament of Muhammad, AB 629, which conceded extraterritorial privileges to the Christians, is apocryphal. See Ramnal, I-12. Following the conquest of Jerusalem, the successors of Muhammad left to the Christians the benefit of Christian laws and judges. See Policies de Rusas, le Régime des Capitulations dans l'Empire Ottoman, 1902, excerpt for offenses against Muslim laws. Christians under Muslim domination in Spain were tried by their own judges and in accordance with their own laws. See Rabnal Op Citation Supra 13. With the Crusades, and because of their influence on the development of commerce, the practice of extraterritoriality became the general rule in all countries along the Mediterranean Sea, whether they were controlled by Christian princes or by Mohammedans. In fact, the desire of Mohammedan rulers for increased commerce and navigation is generally deemed responsible for the widespread development of capitulations in those countries. See Mas de Lettre Optation Supra of 114. The Italian cities of Pisa, Venice, Genoa, and Florence all obtained extraterritorial privileges in Egypt during the 12th century. That's 1100s. During the 12th century, that's 1100s. See Petri Estude Critique sur la légion des extraterritoriaux, 189. All right, the capitulation spread to all the Barbary states between the 12th and 16th centuries. That's the 1100s to 1500s. Treaties between Tunis and Venice, Genoa, Pisa, Florence, and Aragon, between Egypt, Venice, Genoa, between Tripoli and Genoa. The provisions of these capitulations revealed journal the following pattern: cases, civil and criminal, involving Christians of the same nationality were within the exclusive jurisdiction of their consul, and the law to be administered was their national law. In mixed cases, the principal actor sequitur reform re was generally followed. Thus, cases between foreigners of different nationalities were to be decided by the consul of the defendant, while cases between natives and foreigners were to be decided by the jurisdiction of the defendant. See lo so slowing extraterritoriality, its rise and its decline. All right. Personal law, extraterritoriality. Shem, you wanna before I continue, you want to say something?
Yes, it goes to show you that what it's really showing you that the principles always is always embedded in ecclesiastical law on council jurisdiction. This is very important. This is why it's so hard suppressing ecclesiastical law and bringing in what you call public law. I mean, laws of men, concept of men. So as you can see, they did this back all the way back before the Roman Empire conquered. After the Roman Empire conquered, they go back anciently, showing that this is a prime tradition, a well-settled prime tradition that all nations follow, that's handed down. Anything else contrary to this is not really considered law. It's not customary law. Anything outside this here is not customary law. Go ahead, Abdullah.
All right. Exercising extraterritorial jurisdiction over Moorish nations in the British Dominion on Moorish soil. This is my writing here. This is my right here. This is my writing. This is a subheading. Exercising extraterritorial jurisdiction over Moorish nations and the British Dominion on Moorish soil. European colonization, European political boundary, land survey maps of Moorish lands, European land cession treaties of Moorish lands. I talked that before about the Spanish, French, Dutch, English, that's British, conquest and subjugation, and surveying our land and creating survey maps and ceding our land to one European power, another European power. All right. Extraterritorial consular jurisdiction by treaty. The history of this is the writing that's in the Counter Memorial. The history of medieval times is replete with examples of the existence in European of systems of extraterritorial jurisdiction based on the personal law of the foreigner. The law of the Goths, Lombards, and Franks provided that foreigners should settle their disputes according to their own laws. See 2 Clavo, Option Site Supra 10.11. Maltid's Manual des Consuls, 1837. It's the year 1837. Pages 160 to 162. The Italian republics had extraterritorial jurisdiction whenever their commercial enterprises led them. The Emperor of Constantinople gave the right to Venice in 1060. That's what? Almost 1,000 years ago. All right, to send its magistrates to judge its nationals in both civil and criminal cases, and the Emperor Alexis III granted Venice in 1199 the right to judge also disputes between its own nationals and Greek nationals. C1 Bonfils, Manual de Droit, International Public, 7th revised edition, Fu Chao, let's say page 114, I believe, 495, pages 495 to 496. By the 15th century, Italian consuls were exercising extraterritorial jurisdiction over their nationals in London, the Netherlands, the Netherlands, Spain, and France. The French cities enjoyed similar rights of jurisdiction in Italy and Spain. The consuls of England exercised the same rights in the Netherlands, Russia, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. See 2, Mettels, Opstin, Op, Site, Supra, Party, the 2, 77, page 77, 78, 78, 118, 119, 148, 149, 190, 192, 193, 303, 203, 385, page 300, 392, 393, 394 to page to 400. Bonfels 09, Site Super, pages 495 to 497. I think this was this. Yes, by 15th century Italians. This might be in a double. No. Consuls were exercising extraterritorial over their national, the London, the Netherlands, Spain, France, the French city. Yes, the right. All right. The consuls of England exercised the same rights in the Netherlands, Russia, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. All right. So strong was the concept that it survived in Europe, even in the face. So strong was the concept that it survived in Europe, even in the face of the new principle of territorial sovereignty. Even in the face of the new principle of territorial sovereignty. Thus, you learn a lot from reading, man. Oh my God. Thus, at the end of the 18th century, the United States and France were willing to concede to each other extraterritorial. All right. So let's look at this again. Thus, at the end of the 18th century, the United States and France were willing to concede to each other extraterritorial jurisdiction to decide differences in suits arising between their respective subjects on the other's territory. So this is not what? Established by treaty. This is not established by constitution. This is not established by, this is not drafted in a constitution. Constitutional courts, this is not established through a constitution, because this has to be agreed upon between two nations. So the right of extraterritoriality is not, I mean, Moorish. All right, the proper quote, I misquoted something. I said that, talk to Najma. What is it? Oh yes, the quote that's on support the Constitution. Or I misquoted the quote that was on when it was up. Support the Constitution.com or .org is Moorish Consular Court is an Article 3 court. Moorish Consular Court is an Article 3 court, Article 3 of the United States Constitution. Moorish Consular Court is an Article 3 court. That is the quote that was on supporttheconstitution.org or .com, which one it was. I just wanted to, correct myself on that, because I had stated that the quote was that the Moorish Consular Court is established by Article 3. That's not the quote. It's the Moorish Consular Court is an Article 3 court. So so Moorish Consular Court cannot be an Article 3 court. Article 3 does not establish Moorish Consular Courts. So that's the misconcept. The Moorish consular courts are established by treaty.
See,
All right.
no, what was going on here is that they're not going back, looking at the 1783 treaty, the provincial treaty with Great Britain, the United States. See, the British Crown, the British Commonwealth have power to regulate commerce with the Moors, they called Indians, by the power of the Crown. And the Esquires was the one delegated authority with full power to delegate on behalf of the King of England, on behalf of the colonies. So what happened is when Esquires was given permission by the Crown on behalf of the Lord Proprietors to form a constitution, they form a central authority. The central authority took on the same power that the Commonwealth had to regulate commerce with the foreigners on behalf of the Crown. The treaty, see, without that treaty being signed, there would not be a delegated power to do commerce. So all it was acting as a fiduciary on behalf of the Crown. The same powers that was given to the Esquires delegated that power to the central government. Because the Esquires wrote the Constitution. See, who delegated power to the Esquires? The British Crown. So when the Crown wrote the Constitution, it wrote that clause in there. That's not a clause for the Moorish court, consular court. Absolutely not. If it was, believe me, let me say something. Believe me, if it was, that would have been a British treaty, a 1783. That would have been a treaty. That definitely would be in a treaty. So the Esquires allowed the central government created by the states through the treaty to form a central government, do what? Act as a commonwealth to regulate commerce with the other Moorish, Moroccan, so-called Indian nations. They call Indians. That's all. There was delegated authority to that central power just to do one thing, to do commerce with the native people here. That's all. They got to do no council and courts. It just that's why you wrote a clause there. That's all. Allowing that British colony to do what the colonies did before they went there. Before the United States was even formed, the British colonies had power on behalf of the Lord Proprietors, on behalf of the Crown, through the Esquire, to regulate commerce with foreign nations here in Northwest Africa. They're called Indians.
Yeah.
Go back, you go ahead.
Thus, at the end of the 18th century, the United States and France were willing to concede to each other extraterritorial jurisdiction to decide differences and suits arising between their respective subjects on the other's territory. Consular Convention of 1788. See, you learn through reading. Consular Convention.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Consular Convention of 1788.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
If you like this video and you like what you're hearing, everyone, please thumbs up the video. Only one person has thumbs up this video so far. It's 23 people in the chat. Thumbs up the video. This is great information.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's Consular Convention 1788. That's Article 13. I Juan Malo Treaties of the United States 495 by Article 10 of a treaty dated February 19th, 1810, England was permitted to maintain in Portugal judges with jurisdiction to decide all causes brought before them by British subjects. Martin, so that's done through a treaty though, see? Done through a treaty. Vocal, I can't pronounce, traits, 158, 140, and then 496, G, Berlin, des Capitation et las traits de la Fatsi and Orient, 1870, 115, 117, 4. Predier, Fordier, Trait de Droit, International Public, 1888, 722 to 727. Deslier et de moi, jouit et devoir, des François et en Orient et extreme Orient, 1893, 37, page 37 to page 39. We got these French words, all right. Estude sur la fiction der extraterritorial, 1895, 284 to 287. La protection dans les actions de Levant et de Bordre, 1899, page 1 to 119. All right. Yeah, so these are book references. These are book references in French. As you see here, we have here the American consular jurisdiction in the Orient, the origin of the capitulations of the consular institution. This is some good stuff. This is why, and two, I came across this in the end of 2019. The end of 2019, I think, November or December 2019. And I think, and I decided to comb through 600 pages, and I took 15 pages out. And I did that in 2020. We used excerpt of this in one of our classes, and then also this was actually read in one of the Moorish Treaty Protection and Constellations course that's on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. So this is coming back up. And the reason I'm bringing this back up, because Shim mentioned the history of extraterritoriality about 5 or 6 times. So I would be remiss. I would be remiss if I did not, direct you to this. This is, like I said, this is from page 311 and Moore's chapter 9, page 311. All right, and Moore's and Masonry, part 2, chapter 9 of Moore's and Masonry, part 2 is the 15 pages excerpt from the 600-page United States Consular Memorial. So I wanted to let you know that this is extensive, so that Shim is not talking out his butt. I wanted to lend support to what Shim had said last week about the history of extraterritoriality. I want to direct so you can have information. We got to give them references upon references so that we can stand strong on this. We can stand strong. That we can quote these things. We get these books. We got to stand strong on this. All right, Shem, you want me to continue?
Continue. You're doing beautiful. You're breaking it down. Doing beautiful.
All right. Proof in support of this view is abundant. From the most remote time, there exists evidence establishing the practice of extraterritoriality as a normal and necessary consequence of the principle of the personality of law. Thus, as early as 1200 BC, that's what, 2,800 years ago. That's over 2,800 years ago. All right. So we're looking at 1200. How's it go back? No. That's 800. That's almost 3,000 years ago. Am I right on that? Over 3,000 years ago.
No. Yeah, that actually that would be about lower 1,000 years. Lower 1,000 years.
No,
Cause
no,
you get,
no. It's 12. It's BC. This is
oh, B,
1200
no, no,
BC.
you right,
No, this
BC.
is
I'm
almost.
excuse me.
No, this is over
Right,
3,000.
right, 3,000. That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
3,000, like
BC,
almost 3,000 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah, BC. That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
BC. Yeah, yeah, yes, yes. Thus, as early as 1200 BC, the Phoenicians lived under their own laws in Egypt. See, C1 twist the laws of nation, 1884. We need stuff like this, y'all. This is why I did this. We need stuff like this. We need, books like this, readings like this, to really guide us to be solid that this is the history of it, and we have
I,
many references to this.
and let me get another
Yeah,
reference. Let me get another reference for anybody that's claiming to be a Christian. So you won't get. See, we got people that say I'm a Muhammad follower or I'm a Christian. And let me say something, y'all Christian lovers. This is Abdullah. This principle Abdullah talking about now is in the Bible. I'm gonna give you proof. When Jesus was handed over to the governor of Rome, look what he did. He said, "Let me hand him over to Herod the Great, the Moorish king." Herod the Great was the king over Israel. So the governor handed him over to Israel to be tried by their laws. Herod couldn't find a fault in him. So what he did is he beat him and scourged him and sent him back to the governor. So Abdullah's telling you the truth. It's in the Bible. This stuff is in the Bible. Go, Professor, keep going. Professor doing a great job. This stuff right before our face. And then why we can't get it? Because we've been so tricked and a bit of propaganda and brainwashed to listen to the ideologies and concepts of men instead of reading the evidence. Now, I have to say Abdul's 100% right because in the Bible, all the people listening say they're Christians. In the Bible, go back into Matthew, Luke, and John, James. He was handed to Herod the Great, king over Israel. Although Israel was in captivity under the Roman Empire, but Rome still allowed Israel to judge their own nation according to their own laws. This is nothing new. It's ancient. It's ancient principles. Go ahead, Abdullah.
all right. The in the 6th century BC, so that's 2,500 years ago, right? 400, 2,400, 6th century BC. No. Help me out, y'all, because I'm confused now. With the 6th century BC would be how long
Ooh.
ago?
Oh my goodness,
Um,
man. That's
somebody put me on the right track with this.
oh oh man,
Because it goes backwards in the BC and forward in AD. All right. So
ooh
we counting
man.
from 6th century, all right, to now. All right.
Tell me
So
too
we're
much
looking at
600 years, Abdullah. 600 years.
no. This is a couple thousand. This is over 3,000 years. This is BC. In the
Okay.
sixth, the
Oh
sixth,
yeah, yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, downsize.
6th century BC, the Greeks who were established in the Egyptian city of Naucratis enjoyed an independent administration, of justice under their own law. This is well settled principles, man. C1 Calvo led Druid International Derek at practice, 1896. The Israelites at least twice in their history sojourn under capitulation. See Ravdal, the origin of capitulation and the consular institution.
Here we go. And there you go. Here you go.
The origin of capitulations and the consular institution. This is some good stuff, man. So when I came across this, man, I was like, oh shucks. I gotta do this, man. I gotta present. We gotta, share this. I gotta share the wealth, man. Um, this once again, this is in chapter 9 of Moorish Masonry, reading from starting page 311 and 312, 313 of Moorish Masonry, part 2, the entire 15 pages of the 600 page United States Counter Memorial is in chapter 9 of Moses Macy Part 2. Because I know people who are listening got Moses Macy Part 2. The Israelites, all right, so the Romans, like the Greeks, denied the application of their laws to aliens and required their aliens to live under their their own national laws as administered by the proctor. See, so this is some good stuff, man. Next page. All right, so all right. Such was the historical development of the practice of extraterritoriality at the beginning of the 16th century, which is the 1500s, when the European states began to enter into regular treaty relations with the Mohammedan states. This is in Moors and Masonry Part 1. All right, and also Part 2. All right, Moors and Masonry Part 1 and Moors and Masonry Part 2. I have the list of the treaties. I have the list of the treaties between Morocco and France, Morocco and England, Morocco and the Netherlands, Tunis and France, Tunis and England, Tunis and the Netherlands, Tripoli and France, Tripoli and England, Tripoli and Netherlands, Algiers in England, Algiers in France, and Algiers in the Netherlands. All right, those treaties are listed in Moors and Masonry Part 1 as well as Moors and Masonry Part 2. All right, so this is with this area here that deals with the 1600s. All right, you can talk about the 1500s. You got the 1580. I discussed in Moors and Masonry Part 2 the 1580 commercial agreement between Ahmed Murad, Emperor Morocco, and Queen Elizabeth. All right, Queen Elizabeth, Queen of England, 1580 commercial agreement. All right. So I'm just y'all got Moors and Masonry Part 1. So I'm just letting you know the power you have. All right, those who have Moors and Masonry Part 1. The practice was embodied in those treaties. Treaties concluded with the Ottoman Empire first by France in 1528 to 1530. You have Francis I. I discussed this in Moors and Masonry Part 1. The 300-year diplomatic relations between the Ottoman dynasty empire and France, 300-year period. That's in Moors and Masonry Part 1, beginning with Francis I, with a letter. Francis I was put in jail. He wrote a letter while in prison. Francis I of France. All right, and so they discussed that relationship. All right, that's in Moors and Masonry Part. Can't remember what area, but it's in Moors and Masonry Part 1. I do extensive write-up of the 300-year relationship between the Ottoman Empire and France. All right, from 1516 and 1700. All right, just let you know that what you have already. All right, treaties concluded with the Ottoman Empire, first by France, 1520 to 1530s, and thereafter by practically all European powers. Great Britain, the Netherlands, Australia, Hungary, Sweden, Italy, Denmark, Russia, Spain, Belgium, Portugal, etc., and with Algiers, Morocco, Tripoli, Tunis, Persia, Muscat, Zanzibar, Egypt, Ethiopia, etc., provided for extraterritorial jurisdiction ranging from exclusive jurisdiction of the foreign consuls in cases, civil and criminal, involving their nationals only, to jurisdiction in mixed cases, civil and criminal, in which their nationals were defended. This is some good stuff, y'all. All right. Great Britain entered into very extensive treaty relations with the sultans of Morocco during the 18th century, that's the 1700s. Treaties were concluded on January 23rd, 1721, with additional articles dating July 10th, 1729, December 15th, 1734, January 15th, 1750, with additional articles dated February 1st, 1751, July 28, 1760, with additional articles dated May 24th, 1783, and on April 8th, 1791. Finally, another treaty was concluded just after the turn of the century on June 4th, 1801, with explanatory articles dated January 19, 1824. Shem, what say ye?
Hey, listen, it's all that. This is it. You can't go wrong off the record. What I'm saying is that this is a transcript of ideology of men keeping time, record, archives of every event that was happening back then. So we're gonna let's be honest. If we're gonna do something, let's go to philosophy that was written down in the archives, left for us to read. This is what the United States is doing. They go back to the archives and grab all the ancient archives records and try to support their claim. Which we more what we do is we go ahead and get mad at somebody and say, because it's not the way we want it. It's not what you want, it's what's established. What's well established principles of law. These concepts cannot be broken. Because right now, the United Nations operate on the same principles which you're reading right now. When you go to the World Court and you argue a dispute, all this come up now. All this is relevance. This is important. This is relevancy. This is an important, no, this is very relevancy. This is the only important thing you can use. So what we have to do is stop arguing, fighting with ourselves, and realize that when somebody don't know this, and they speak in concepts, they're wrong, they're misguiding, but they don't know. I forgive them because they don't know. What hurt us is when we start fighting with each other and going against each other based on somebody saying wrong and crooked and error. That's what we're wrong at. No, the person wrong. You're not reading out of the archives how traditionally, customary law said traditionally how things ought to run. All these modern governments established today are running off old principle laws. Go ahead, Abdullah.
Shem, that was great. That was great. Let me camel back off that. And Shem, last week he mentioned several times the history of extraterritoriality. And today, he mentioned 3 or 4 times just a few minutes ago, the archives. And that United States and other nation states have gone into the archives. In this case, the United States, because this is in the United States Counter Memorial to France's memorial in the 1952 case between France and the United States in the International Court of Justice. So you see the work of an international jurist.
Yep.
You're seeing the works of an international jurist where history, understanding research, archival research, and seeing the beginning history as well as law. So this is very important that we show archival research, to our people, to our students, to those who are on this platform. All right. So they don't need to say Shem said anything. You don't need to say that. Why? You don't need to say that. We're presenting it. That this is well established.
This is why I ran. This has changed my twist. Years ago, Abdullah, back in about 2000, after I met Abdullah, this is when I first met Abdullah back in 2006. I was about Abdullah etymology classes, right? I'm saying it. This woke me up.
Abdullah, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yes. And what happened is I came across a case the United States Supreme Court was ruling on, Colbert versus something. I forgot. Colbert versus, I forgot what it was. But they was talking about establishing jurisdiction. And the Supreme Court, guess what happened? The Supreme Court ideology went to the Bible. I said, this is what I say. See, our people got a book in front of them. They don't know how to use the book. The book is a government book. He said, this is well established when Apostle Paul was handed over by his own nation to the Romans. And look what he did. He invoked citizenship as a Roman citizen. Once he did that, the Jews could not rule against him because he knew he wasn't claiming to be even though by nationality he was part of them, Israel, but to political status. And under his political status, he was a citizen of Rome. So therefore, by being a citizen of Rome, they was not allowed to try him according to their laws. So this is to show you that jurisdiction, Paul was considered, the Apostle Paul was considered as a foreigner to his own people based on what? Based on allegiance to a status. Remember, he brought up as a Pharisee, a teacher of the law, philosophy, but also he was brought up as a Roman citizen. So therefore, as a Pharisee, his allegiance was to Rome. So therefore, when they tried to prosecute him, he threw up his alienation there. See, very important. Once that happened, they lost jurisdiction to try him. Because when they took him before the Romans say, "Well, you want to bring him here? You want to get authority?" And the Apostle Paul said, "I'm a Roman citizen. You can't hand me over to an Israelite. They're a debtor. That's a debtor nation." So based on the law, the Romans was not allowed to have a Roman citizen trial by a foreign nation. Period. So this is when I see Supreme Court use that illustration in the archives. I said, them tell me that these people are well schooled. Abdul, right? They're well schooled jurists. They study ecclesiastical law and they study foreign and international customary law. Very important. As this Abdul laying down right here, it's very important. You can't listen. This is the mustard right here. This is the mustard. This is the mustard seed right here. This is the mustard seed. What you mean, Shim? This is so you plant in somebody so it'll grow. It's a mustard seed. You'll grow if you implant this in your garden, in your brain, in your fertilizer, in your mind. This will grow to something powerful, a powerful tree of life. Go, Professor.
Are we all right? So we can go to Najma. There are the what I sent you last week because we have we can finish that up. I wanted to Tim did mention so we can go with because there's I think which section I want to read that I'll let you know that a thesis written by the Chinese in 1883. That's part of what I sent you last week. So yeah, so Shim talk while she gets that ready.
Yes. We have to understand that the reason why they assert jurisdiction over us because we have not claimed our nationality first. That's one. The second thing, as a claiming nationality, you have to claim political allegiance to that Moorish government you're a part of for protection. We have not been doing that.
All right. Yes. Yeah. What conscious Moors have been taught, and I was taught as well, that the mere declaring our nationality was the saving grace.
Nope.
And there was no discussion of restoring Moorish government structure, claiming allegiance to our Moorish government, what it is that we have been taught that United States is the Moorish government. That's been pushed. So this is why, Shem, that the claiming allegiance to Moorish government was never brought into any discussion because Moors were taught that the United States is the Moorish government and the United States Constitution is the Moorish Constitution. That we the people in the preamble, I know all the misconceptions, that we the people of the United States, that is the Moor, that we the people are the Moors, we the people are the Moors. So this is why. All right. So therefore that, the discussion of facilitating a restoring national Moorish government structure was never, ever, 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 ever on the table. In any discussions that I had been in for 25 years. All right. So
yes.
Now, got a question, Shim. So, Najma's not on right now. So I want to once again, Shim, that you continue to provide clarity for us and giving us the proper instructions and guidance into treaty law, international law, and political science, political philosophy, you know, and understand government principles, constitutional principles of right government, of good government, of political legitimacy. All right, so so I greatly appreciate you. You never wavered on that. From day one, from beginning working with you 4.5 years ago. This has been a push for you. You have emphasized government structure till you turn blue. I've never Shim doesn't even talk outside of government structure. I've never heard Shim in all of the conversations we've had talk outside of government structure. Never. Man, he pushes it, man. I've never, I mean, shucks. Absolutely.
Abdullah, the bottom line is, Abdullah, is that these people that's running, your Albion that's running the government right now is running the government at the House of French, all these old ancient houses, barons, dukes, earls, marquess, all these different houses, and they're passing subjects and laws. Had come off a boat into Morocco, established government, and that's what they go. That's what they going off ancient government. Are the same principles that we supposed to go off, but they came together, band together, and formed their own community.
That's true. That's true.
Right now, what they're doing is nothing new. They're actually following the ancient customs, the traditions, the concepts of ancient governments. They're doing it. Remember now, United States admitted that the reason why they formed their government was the old U.S. Moorish Confederacy. So they look at already a sample was that Confederacy that we had. So if we're gonna get anywhere, we're not getting nowhere warring against each other, arguing over spending 10 years arguing over a concept of a man or a woman who did not have this kind of knowledge as a jurist to do this. It's better instead of just recognize, you know what? I can't say nothing bad about it. All I can say is that they did not have the knowledge. These tools they didn't have. They didn't have the tools as a jurist to form set up government. That's all. So why sit here and argue? Come together like me and Professor Abdullah taught the true concept principles of government on a 14-week course of contract course law. Also, we talk about government courses, how to form a government, how to come together and form a community. Let's not argue. Just do it. Just practice. Put it in play. That's all. And do it.
By the way, that course is on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. That's the Moorish Body Politic Formation. There's 12 of them. That's on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Those are the free courses, part of the free courses that I was talking about. All right, along with the Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations. All right, course 101 and 102. I think about 16 classes of Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations. They're on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. All right.
Is this the slide you're talking about, Abdullah?
Yes.
Okay.
You can go down. All right. No. Yes. Here. That's it. Yes, this is it. Thank you. All right. So, excerpts from Ura Hajmi, Consular Courts, 1893, Cornell Law School, Historical Theses and Dissertations Collection, Scholarship at Cornell Law, a digital repository. Treaties and conventions between the United States and other powers, 1776 to 1887. And Fillmore says, quote, international commerce would have withered away without the protecting shadow of the consulate. International commerce would have wilted away without the protecting shadow of the consulate. As the natural consequence of consuls, as the natural consequence of consuls enjoy the same privilege and immunities. This a Shem. This when I read this, when I was like, man, I almost fell off my chair because I remember Shem mentioning to me a couple years ago. He said, Abdullah, consuls had the same immunities as ambassadors. So I'm doing some research and trying to, and this is why it's important to read old archives. As Shem mentioned, Shem referenced three or four times archives, and and that the United States and other countries were doing research, and they go into the archives. Because if you only go by what's presented modern literature, it's written that, as far as modern international law, that consuls do not have immunities as ambassadors. So I'm like, oh shit. So consuls, you begin to see this, and as we read the references and archives and you look at those, and I read last week the extraterritoriality treaty clauses and treaties from the 1600s, the role that consuls play. So if you don't have that knowledge of the role that consuls play, and if you're only privy to modern international law, all right, you can be guided that way. You can just be guided into just modern international law and knowing that things have been, even the definition of state has been changed over the period of 4 centuries. So if you don't look back into the archives, into well settled, remember what we read, they went back 3,000 years. 3,000 years, going back to sources 3,000 years old. I mean, man, we can share, man. I appreciate you, brother. Man, that we can really elevate our people, man. I'm talking about, when you go into these archival records and older letters and references and older books, I'm like, wow. Go, Najma, go back. I
had to make it larger.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. You do your thing. I'll continue talking.
No, where were you? Because this is a different version.
I was at that dissertation, the 1889 dissertation. I don't know what's up or I don't. I think it's I can't be. Might have been. It was up. I think it was close. I mean, I don't. That's at the. Can't recall where it's up and down now.
Okay, 1 second.
It's that dissertation, the 1889 dissertation. Right. The repository, Cornell Law. Yeah, actually, that's right here. All right, this is it. So let me continue. I just want to stop and discuss too while I'm reading because All right. International law, international commerce would have withered away without the protecting shadow of the consulate. As the natural consequence of consuls enjoy the same privilege and immunities which are accorded to ambassadors at the present time. This is 1880. Remember, this is 1893. This is 1893 dissertation. at the present time. So that's what 129 years ago, 130 years, 130 years ago, 130 years ago. As this system of institution attained its greatest perfection in the Levant countries, such as Venice, Marseille, Genoa, and Barcelona. But at the beginning of the 17th century, 1600s, the whole condition of international commerce and interchange took a different aspect. Man, you see the value of reading, you see the value of going into the archives. But at the beginning of the 17th century, 1600s, the whole condition of international commerce and intercourse took a different aspect, and the establishment of permanent legations became a part of public law of European countries. At the same time, the idea of national independence had become permanent, and the extraterritorial jurisdiction of consuls over civil and criminal matters were severely criticized as being wholly at variance with the principles of independence. Moreover, the improvement of municipal law rendered it at least less necessary, if not wholly. And throughout Christian Europe, the jurisdiction was surrendered to the territorial authorities, and now the function of consuls are fixed as already resorted to in the first section, with exceptions in the Levant, Mohammedan, and certain other Oriental countries. However, this great change throughout Europe did not benefit the Levant and Mohammedan countries, and it remains the same as before. In addition to these, the consular jurisdiction of similar character is also secured in certain Oriental countries by treaties. By the Article 4 of the treaty concluded in 1832 between the United States of America and Turkey provides, quote, if litigations and disputes should arise between the subjects of the Sublime Porte and the citizens of the United States, the parties shall not be heard, nor shall judgment be pronounced unless the American dragoman be present. The treaty between the United States and Morocco, 1787, gives the consul of the former exclusive jurisdiction in disputes among the citizens of the United States. Oh, does it? Article 3. Hold on, hold on. The treaty between the United States and Morocco gives. No, I'm sorry. Article 3 of the United States Constitution. Hold on. Let me get my glasses. Hold on. Article 3 of the United States Constitution gives to the consul. Hold on, I'm on my glasses. Let me clean my glasses.
The archives speak different.
It doesn't say Article 3. It doesn't read Article 3. It says the treaty between. No, it doesn't read Article 3.
And guess what? And these are jurists. These are jurists representing the United States. They're not even saying that. Where does this come from?
Right? Exclusive jurisdiction in disputes among the citizens of the United States, and in criminal cases, it is.
Oh, American Dragoman. What is that a title?
Yeah, yes. You know what? I meant to look that up. Somebody look that up for me. That's my bad on that. Provided by the 21st article of the same treaty, which it reads as follows. Article 20. If any of the citizens of the United States or any person under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties. And whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. Doesn't Shem talk about that? What's it called? Judicial assistance? Judicial assistance? So where's that embodied in treaty? So you see here judicial assistance here. Because the consul, through treaty, is delegated judicial power through treaty. Article 21, if a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, shall die, shall United States, the law of the country shall take place. The law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered. The consul assisting at the trial, and if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any matter, whatever. You see that in 1600 treaties that I have in Moors and Masonry. 1600, 1700 treaties, that this clause here, the consul should not be answerable. You see you see that clause written in the various treaties in 16 and 1700s. All right. If a United States citizen shall die in our country and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no consul, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. And if a will shall appear, the party shall descend agreeable to that will, or as soon as the consul shall declare the validity thereof. We can see why they collapse our state, man. I mean, we can see so they can, assume jurisdiction over us. All right.
That's key, Abdullah. You read that. I'm glad you read that. That means that now, if there's no more, there's nobody claiming to be Moors. That means Morocco state is in probate. That means that the receiving state now can step in now and minister the estate. Until a lawful government, to the people come to a lawful maturity, to the people, the heirs, the descendants come together and form a lawful political organization and come back and claim the land. That's the only way you're going to get it.
I keep saying he doesn't talk outside of government structure. I've never heard Shem. I'm telling you. I've never heard Shem talk out of government structure. Never.
I told you why. I said, Abdullah, the council is a conservative for the Moors. We come to a state, property, land, water, air rights. The council, CFR, states that when it comes down to a state, the council is a conservative.
Code of Federal Regulations. That's CFR, Code of Federal Regulations.
Right.
Code of Federal Regulations.
And these are the real codes. These are the real laws of force international law that put about the Senate Committee of Foreign Relations. So these codes are approved by Congress. The fourth international law in the United States. And what we got going on here is that Abdullah, the collapse of Moorish Empire, they had to first indoctrinate the Moors to not know who they are, give them amnesia. Therefore, nobody can hand down that. If you don't get educated, you can't hand down your wealth. There's no recognition of anybody, black, Negro, African American, colored, Latino. These are political titles, political status titles. you and take your land. Go after I'm done.
All right, my man.
Oh.
Article 23. The consuls of the United States of America shall reside in any seaport of our dominion that they shall think proper, and they shall be respected and enjoy all the privileges which the consul of any other nation enjoy. And if any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, the consul, that's again consul, the consul shall not be in any manner accountable for them unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment or fulfillment thereof. Without promise in writing, no application to him for any redress shall be made. The treaty between the United States and Madagascar, entered into 1881, gives the United States consul. The treaty gives the United States consul. Doesn't say the Constitution. I know. I'm kind of. The treaty gives. The treaty gives the United States consul exclusive jurisdiction. Doesn't say a Constitution gives that. The Constitution gives, or the treaty gives. This is. So we gotta, and I'm doing that because when you have, we got to keep in mind, we have students that come to our class. And so when you have misconceptions that are out there, and that's as a measuring stick, you have to continue to address that, because that's fixed in people's minds. That's something strong. That's not something that you're gonna, that you're going to eradicate out of their minds in some one class, some one reading. You know what I mean? Because that's something they hold on to. They may have held on to that for 1 month or 5 months or 8 months or 2-3 years. And that's why it takes time. And this is why we have to be redundant, and redundant until we, smooth away the misconceptions and we replace them with proper concepts. And you do that with showing them evidence, showing them archives, showing them documentation. That way, meaning that you're saying you're taking something away. You can't take something away without replacing it. You cannot take something away without replacing it. And that which is being replaced must have a solid foundation. The treaty between the United States and Madagascar, entered into 1881, gives the United States consuls exclusive jurisdiction over disputes and offenses, either civil or criminal, committed among the citizens of the United States residing in Madagascar. The treaty entered into between the United States and Siam in 1856 provides that all disputes arising between citizens of the United States and the subjects of Siam shall be heard and determined by the consul in conjunction with the proper Siamese officers, and in criminal offenses committed among the citizens of the United States, they shall be tried by the consul according to American laws. And if crimes committed against the citizens of one party by the citizens of another, the offenders' courts shall try the cases according to the laws of the country to which the offender is a citizen. To which the offender is a citizen. to which the offender is a citizen. So according to the laws of the country to which the offender is a citizen, by the Treaty of 1844 between the United States and China, it was stipulated as follows, quote, Articles 21st, subjects of China who may be guilty of any crime, criminal act towards citizens of the United States shall be arrested and punished by Chinese authorities according to the laws of China, and the citizens of the United States who may commit any crime in China shall be subject to be tried and punished only by the consul of the other public functionary of the United States thereto authorized according to the laws of the United States. So this is agreed upon by treaty. By the Treaty of that's why when people say, I want people, they don't need to say Abdullah said anything. By the Treaty of 1856 between the United States and Persia, it is provided that all suits arising in Persia between Persian and Americans are to be decided by a Persian tribunal in the presence of an employee of the consul or agent of the United States, and the suits between the American to be decided by the consul agent according to American laws. All right. So, Shem, what time we want to wrap up, Najma? So it's 10:25. You want to do let's fill some questions. Let's fill some questions. We always do that. Let's fill some questions. Let's fill some questions.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we. Someone said that terminology I was asking about, dragamon, in American English, it's a noun. It's a professional interpreter.
All right, thank you. I meant to look that up. Thank you, Najma.
Someone said the land has been claimed. Someone else said that dragamon is an interpreter or guide, especially in countries speaking Arabic, Turkish, or Persian.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to clear that up because I didn't. Yeah, I
referenced the lawsuit Hassenstein versus Lynham, Lynham.
What about it? What do?
I guess when you were speaking, someone just referenced that particular.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, Hassenstein versus Lynham. All right, good. They've been good listeners. They're good students. All right.
Someone said contracts make the law.
Well, treaties are contracts.
Absolutely. That's right. International agreements.
International agreements. Right.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about treaties. We're talking treaties. I mean, someone just said, well, treaties are international agreements.
Yep.
Someone said today the private sector corporations control all governments. How strong are all the governments of the world today?
All right, let's back up. Let's clear that up though. The private sector control all governments.
It says today the private sector, and then parentheses it has corporations.
So corporations. All right, that's back.
Let me correct that. That's the misnomer.
I want to correct that with treaties though. I want to go with that's. I want to reference.
I am. But let's go back. Let's go back to authority of every nation. Every nation. Let's do it every nation. Period. Before we talk about agreements and treaties, let's go to every nation. Every nation got a private sector and a public sector. What's the public sector? The public, meaning the commons, the people that obey the legislative power or the monarchy, or those who obey the power of the government. So you got the houses, the barons, the dukes, the earls, the counts, all these kings spring from, queens and kings spring from this. Marquess, all these houses, Spanish, French, Greek, Italian houses. These are the private sectors. These are the private houses, lords, wealthy people. They call them royalty, nobles, royalties. The commons are not royal. They get the peasants. So you got the public and the private. Yes, to this day, these houses still control public government. Yes, sir. I agree with that. I will break it down to you. Yes, the private houses today still control public government. Hear me out. The government is public. It's not private. The houses that with all these politicians spring from, that get elected, they have these houses. That's the public. The government is public. The people is the private. If you got people elected government, right, given a delegation authority, the people in a minority in a republic government, the people are the private sector. The public sector is who they elect. That's the public. But in a royalty house, in the empire or kingdom, among a king, queen, or emperor, the private sector are the houses, are the king, queen, the princes, the dukes, the earls, the counts, the marquess. That's the private sector. The public sector are the lords, the work take orders. The common people, peasants, tenants, landlords, all of them. That's the public sector. So I do agree with this one thing. No, it's not government. Government do see United States. The government is controlling the people. Yes, I agree with that. But who controls that government? Not the people. The houses control them. These groups, these private houses operating as groups, the organizations, all controlling them. I agree with that. But you must understand when you say the corporation control the government. No, hear me out. The government is a corporation. It's a public corporation. It's the face, the web before the houses. Remember, Rockefeller, all these Rockefellers, Rothschilds, they got to have a mass. So the government is the mass, the fool of the people, control the people. So they put forth a public mass, a public corporation, allow the people to vote for their officials. When the moment they vote them in, they're what? They're in the like security agreement, allegiance to the private sector. Did I answer your question?
Brother, oh man, I gotta salute you, brother. Gotta salute. Man, that was awesome. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I wasn't going to go down that road, but I know. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you. And that I already knew, but I definitely wasn't going to go down that road. I'm not going to mention, but I mean, you did so well. I'm gonna just leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
If you don't answer it right, they'll start talking. Oh, look, see, they ain't saying nothing about that. See, I'm right. No, it's not about you being right. It's about you knowing the truth. The fact of the matter is, go back to the Constitution. The moment, how did the Lord propriety? First of all, the common people of the colonies never met the crown, the sign of the treaty. You know who met them? The Lord proprietors and the esquires, because they was in the house with the crown. The people rose up against them. So you gotta understand what's going on here. Every treaty that's written by fourth. The crown had four. Not the crown, excuse me. The Lord proprietors and the esquires had four faith pledge of the people. See, this is what I keep trying to say. Every time you look at a problem happen, who's on the scene? Esquires. 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 So who's controlling everything right now? The bar. Who controls the bar? The dukes, the earls, the counts, the barons, the marquess, all these Spanish houses, all these royal pedigree houses of Ireland, Scotland, Dutch, Sweden, the Netherlands, all these royal houses. The children of these royal families control this public government. They are the private sector. Rothschild, Rockefeller. These are private families. They are tied to these ancient houses. So they run the public government. The government is their vehicle to control everything, control the people, and control people with resources, their land. Anything else? Any more questions?
Yes. Someone said, in international law, what is the basis of the conquest subjugation names and brands used for denationalization?
Go, Professor. You got that. Go, Professor.
Wait a minute. Let me finish the whole thing.
Yeah.
Meaning, do they fall under the laws of trademarks? If so, could you point to reference?
All right. Well, that's you got to answer that in the context of international law. When you're and that question begs to international law for the answer. You're talking about in international law, you have what's called public, all right, or you have peace and war. Peace and war. So that question falls into the category of war. We're talking conquest, subjugation, annexation, discovery. You have that's called the loss of sovereignty. That's under war in international law, loss of sovereignty, conquest, annexation, subjugation, discovery. Those are the four main. Under loss of sovereignty, all right, you also end that discussion and right would also beg for what's called a collapse of a state, extinction, disintegration, collapse of a state. You have what's called also under that is a subjugation of a nation and subjugation of a people of the nation. So these are categories under. I just want to because I want to expand your mind, y'all. I want you to expand your mind. You can go to international law of Halleck's book of international law. You have Oppenheim, you have Lippincott, you have Halleck, you have Brownlee's Principles of International Law. You have Crawford, James Crawford, but Halleck, Lippincott, and Oppenheim, they have two volumes, and volume 1 is peace, volume 2 is war. So that question, you have to go to war, that volume 2 of their books, all right, to answer those questions, to analyze those questions. You got to go to volume. I want to expand your mind, all right, volume 2, all right, of those books, all right, on the war. Now, if you're talking about, recovery of lost sovereignty, all right, or restoring statehood, then you go to peace. That'll be volume 1 of their books, and you'll see all those. You'll see in studying looking at the table of content, you'll see it'll guide you into those areas. But that question you got to go to war principles in international law. All right. I want to expand their mind. We have to expand our minds that study international law. Once again, you got peace and you got war. All right. How are you doing it, Abdullah? I've studied international law. So I study the table of contents. I look at the terminology and I study the terminology and the principles, and that expanded my mind. So now I'm like, so I look at our condition. Oh yeah, that's lost sovereignty. Oh yeah, that's distinct conquest. All right, extinction of a state. That's integration. So I'm using international law terms. When you hear me speak, I've used international law terms. What has been the issue? Conscious Moors have been guided to use United States laws to analyze our condition. You're using United States laws to analyze our condition. You have to use international law. We are of a state that has been collapsed. As we rise up in the knowledge of international law and treaty law and treaty studies, coastal relations, coastal courts, how to enforce treaty through government structure, we'll start having some strong effects. The problem has been conscious Moors have been taught are trying to recover lost Moor sovereignty using United States Constitution and United States laws and United States courts. They're trying to address our condition with United States laws, United States courts, the United States Department, and not in the realm of international law. The native people of Hawaii cannot use United States laws, United States courts, United States Department to recover, to restore the Hawaiian kingdom, to recover lost Hawaiian sovereignty. I mean, we're not stupid, we're not idiots, because I'll be calling myself that, and I ain't that. We're not dumb, we're not stupid, we're not idiots. We just been misguided. That's it. My brothers and sisters, we are intelligent. If we put our focus and time in studying international law, treaty studies, treaty enforcement, play with science, we're putting our time and resources in trying to recover lost Moorish sovereignty using United States Constitution, United States courts, United States departments, United States agencies. I mean, we've just been misguided, that's all. We're not stupid, we're not idiots, we're not dumb. We've just been misguided.
Is the right to travel considered post-millennium?
All right. The right to travel. Is right to travel considered post-millennium? Let me first define post-millennium. Post-millennium is a principle of restoration in international law of returning a people to their original condition. And why, all right, and why just right to travel? Why not, all right, why right to travel? Like, why is right to travel like the main issue for conscious Moors? Why right to travel? Why right to travel? Not, why not? I'm lost here. Why is right to travel the number one subject matter for conscious Moors? Why not land rights? Why isn't land rights? Why isn't, I know the answer, I won't say it. I know the answer, I won't say it. I won't give you the answer because I got to say somebody's name and I'm not going to say it. I know the answer, I ain't saying it. The right, why isn't land rights the
right
number one issue for conscious Moors?
Right to assemble.
No, I'm saying, why isn't land rights? Like, why isn't Abdullah, not Najib will say to me, Abdullah, somebody got a question here. Is land rights under post-millennium? She's never going to read that. Najib is never going to read that. She's going to read right to travel, 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 right to travel is right to travel this, is right to travel that, is right to travel this, is right to travel that. Najib will never read a question, land rights, land rights, land rights, land rights, land rights. I made my point. I made my point. I made my point. I think they got it.
In other words, Abdullah is saying, if you protest and campaign for land rights, automatically the right to travel comes with that. But land rights, the right to assemble and form government. Land rights, right to defend yourself, right to hunt, right to fish, right to necessities, right to enjoy your prosperity, your minerals, your minerals and your products of the earth. So the right to land is the best thing. With that right, you get everything. Everything returns back to you. You get the land rights back.
Someone said the act of Alge-
I
Algeciras.
just want to make them to think, Najma. That's all. I just want to stimulate thinking.
The
I
act
just
of
want to stimulate thinking.
Algeciras, 1906.
Shem?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, of 1906, preamble. The Sultan talked about the triple principles. What are these principles?
But let me say something. First of all, Act of Algiers, the Moorish government um, was brought there as a adhesive a party. It was not there personally to sign the Act of Algiers. They signed under adhesive contract. That means that the countries there took Morocco as not being present, as being as agreeing to that. So they consider the signature there as the matter of fact, they're not even signing it. They're on a adhesive agreement. That's a adhesive contract of the minds. The European powers settled in their mind that Morocco consent to that act of Algiers. So you have to read that. Remember now, we dissect that. Morocco is not a signing party.
No.
There's a adhesive contract there, and most Moors don't know that. Well, the great thing about the act is to teach us is that the European powers made it clear in Morocco that when it comes down to European questions of law, that means really when it comes down to really enforcing European interests in Morocco and treaties, United States don't have jurisdiction. In the first part of the act, it said when it comes down to European questions on Morocco as a matter of law, United States are refrained from giving their opinion. So therefore, United States, when it comes down to European affairs in Morocco, United States Supreme Court had authority to make any rulings on that. Really? Never did. Only by wherever the Moors delegate authority to a treaty, that's all United States had. Wherever the Sultans delegated to the United States through the treaty, that's all they can do. Outside of that, they have no jurisdiction.
So Shem, that when I didn't read this correctly, so when he's at the person in the chat is asking about the act of Algiers 1906, how does that relate to that movie that used to be out a long time ago, The Battle of Algiers? You remember that movie? You can't really find it anymore. But is the Battle of Algiers and what was happening with the Battle of Algiers, is that related to this?
I knew you talking about. Yeah, I can answer that. That's a different. That's Alcazar. The Battle of it's Alcazar.
Uh-huh.
It's Kadir. It's the Portuguese name is Alcazar, and then you have the Arabic name Kabadir or something like that. But the Battle of Alcazar is 1588. That's the Battle of Alcazar between I think that's the Portugal and Morocco. Portugal, Morocco, the Battle of Alcazar 1578 or 1588. I know exactly what you're talking about. Look it up, y'all. It's the Battle of Alcazar. Alcazar. Battle Arc Alcazar. That's where the Morocco took 10,000 Portuguese into captivity. The Battle of Alcazar. Yeah, that's something different, Aljama.
Okay.
Not Najma.
Now we must understand, as Professor Abdullah read earlier, you notice that Algeria, a lot of these territories, the days and the bays, of Tripoli, Tunis, Algeria, all these places were considered separate, independent sovereign powers on the same level of Morocco and the Moroccan Empire. This is why the United States signed a treaty with the Deys of Tunis, the Beys of Tripoli. Why? Because the Tripoli, Tunis, Algiers, they were independent countries, just like Morocco. They were independent from Morocco, but they operated in the Moroccan Empire.
Yeah.
You understand? These are sovereigns. Sovereigns operating a political jurisdiction in the Moroccan Empire. They had the same status. That's why the Deys are fighting the Beys. Also, Tripoli fighting Tunis. Also, the Emperor of Morocco also fighting wars with the Deys and Beys. So these are powers that hold sovereign power in the Moroccan Empire. That's why the United States signed treaties with these groups separately. The Deys, the Beys, and Morocco. Shim, what you mean, Shim? Yes, look at the treaties. United States signed treaties with the Deys, the Beys, and Morocco. Why? Because they're all separate, powerful separate nations in the Kingdom of Morocco.
Then Moors and Masonry Part 1 and 2.
Yes, absolutely. Abdullah read that. I said, Abdullah read that. I said, I hope they catch this, that these are power. These are government power, provincial governments operating in the Moroccan Empire outside the political jurisdiction of Morocco. That means they have their own jurisdictional power outside Morocco. They all, even though it was under the Sultan, but they still had their own political jurisdiction as a sovereign.
Yeah.
That's why the United States signed treaties with them separately, as if they were separate from Morocco.
Can you explain the concept called UTI Pacidetis Juris?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, as ute pacidetis juris. UTI is the term. UTI space pacidetis, POSSESSESSITIS. Juris, JURIS, ute pacidetis juris. All right, what that means is that you have the predecessor state. These are terms in international law. The predecessor state and the succession state. All right, and you have the predecessor state would survey the land and form boundaries. All right, through that survey and establish a survey map. And exercising, so and also embodied with that was called territorial sovereignty. So the predecessor state is exercising territorial sovereignty over a particular survey boundary of land. Now, when that predecessor state goes out of power or loses power to a secession state, all right, through war, and then that was done through a treaty. It's called a cession treaty, land boundary cession treaty. The under international law, ute pacidetis juris, the cession state takes over the boundaries of the predecessor state under international law, and that's done through a treaty. That's why let's go to the Louisiana Purchase Treaty. The Louisiana Purchase Treaty. So we're going to apply it ute pacidetis juris. France sold the treaty, all right, relinquished territorial sovereign control over the Louisiana territory to the United States. France is the one, not the United States. I'm mute. What's going on? France is the one that surveyed the boundaries. France is the one that set the boundaries of the Louisiana. France named it. This is our land, though. This is our land, but we're talking conquest. Talking conquest and French colonization. So under French conquest and French colonization of our land, French named the boundaries of the Operation Louisiana after King Louis XIV, and France surveyed the boundary. They know it was called the Louisiana Territory. That was ceded to the United States, known as the Louisiana Purchase. United States, under international law, under ute pasta distis juris, all right, is now taking over that same boundaries that the French was had governed. That's called ute pasta distis juris. Now you have conscious Moors who are claiming to have states, and conscious Moors who are claiming to applying, having ute pasta distis juris. No, you don't, because that means you're saying that you're now operating the boundary. That means that state is no longer exercising territorial sovereignty, and now you're exercising territorial sovereignty in that same boundary. Stop playing with these people. No military. If they're playing with the people, you get a green card back. What they're doing, Najma, they're doing, because these people saying that Dula Hashem doesn't. They're saying that they're making the claim is that Abdullah and Shem don't know Jack. Abdullah and Shem don't know what they're talking about. You don't need to do all that. You don't need to reach out to the people. I'm not making this up, y'all. I'm not making this up. Abdullah and Shem do not know Jack. You don't need to reach out to the people. You only need 5 people to have a state. You don't need to do all that. Don't listen to Abdullah and Shem. You don't need to do all that. You don't need to have no, political legitimacy. You don't need to reach out to the people. You don't need to educate the people and all that. All you need is 5 people to have a state. We got our green card. We got our green card. You know what I mean? See, we sent some papers in to the United Nations. I'm not making none of this up, y'all. Please, I'm not making none of this up. We sent our papers in to the United Nations, and we got the green card. See, we got a state. Nah. Abdullah and Shem don't know what they're talking about. Abdullah and Shem ain't shit. Nah. I'm not making none of this up. Nah. You only need 5 people, dumbass Abdullah. You only need 5 people to have a state. You don't need to do all that. Reach out to the people. I'm not making none of this up. I'm not exaggerating on anything I'm saying. See what we're dealing with, Najma?
A lot of separations.
I'm just keeping it real. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, we're gonna continue teaching. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, I'm gonna continue teaching. Hey.
Is Mauritania Morocco?
All right, let me answer that. The Moroccan Empire was vast, so you're talking about the Moroccan Empire extended to Europe, North Africa, West Africa. Right. So you talk about the Moroccan Empire being vast. So not just what happens is people are looking at these modern maps, and they're saying they look at Mauritania or on a modern map, and so Morocco, and if you look at the treaties that are having Mozambique Part 1, and as well the same ones in listing of that in Part 2, and the extensive history, and even in the treaties, it'll say the dominions of the Moroccan Empire. So It's just going to the when I see these modern maps, it doesn't match the power that being expressed in captivity records, in admiralty records, in state records, in archives, and old newspapers, and treaties. All right. So I just want to guide people to written literature so that they can have something that I don't want them to. I'm begging y'all. I'm begging you. Please don't say Abdullah said. Please, I'm begging you. That's why I write. You don't need to say Abdullah said. I'm begging you. Don't say Abdullah said. You don't need to. You got my books. You don't need to.
Okay.
I want to empower the people, man. This ain't Abdullah said means nothing to me. It's too much of that. That's a sign of weakness. We got to turn this weak Moorish movement. I said it. We got to turn this weak Moorish movement to power. I'm just keeping it real, man. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. Najma, excuse my language. I ain't gonna bullshit the people.
Right. I agree. I believe that about you. Yep. As long as I've known you, I've never seen that. And I'm telling you, I've met a lot of people that claim to be conscious or unconscious Moorish men. I'm gonna talk about the men, and you're not that person. But I'm not gonna name names either. Okay, so somebody said, can you, oh, so you explained that already. The one and only problem I have with all of this is that I don't see any women involved in any of these treaties. We are a matriarchal nation, right? Oh, who is this? Lame Day? How much do you, Lame Day?
All right, let me address that though. All right, let me say this though. We have to use the treaties for our protection. I hear what she's saying. I respect what she's saying.
Oh, it's a woman? I don't know.
Oh, he or she, I mean, I respect he or she. I hear he or she. I acknowledge he or she. All right. Now, I'm going to take the intelligent role because we're talking about protection. Like, because what is the implication there? I mean, what's the implication? What is the implication? I only ask a question. Are he or she implying that we shouldn't use the treaty? I'm just because we shouldn't use the. I do acknowledge what it said. I do, but what is the implication? Our people need protection. They need it now. They need it now. So we're talking about applying these treaties. So what is the implication there? I do acknowledge that. We need protection. We're working to teach people how to enforce these treaties, how to restore government structure. I mean, if I go, what am I going to say to that? I mean, I'm acknowledging it. Yes.
I'm acknowledging that there was no women there forming these treaties. What I would acknowledge is that there is a feminine principle there in the treaties itself, the language. The feminine principle is to nourish our people in the long run, to protect and nourish our people in the long run, in long-term ages, meaning that the knowledge that is in these treaties are the feminine. That's the mother to turn back to get protection.
Good answer. Good answer.
So
Good answer.
all the time don't have to have a woman there physically, but you understand, feminine is not only is a woman the temple of her body. It's also in wisdom, education, knowledge, hand it down.
The principle. Yeah, I got you. Good point.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
I mentioned that earlier.
So if we look at it, the woman is there. The moment that these agreements were being signed, negotiated intellectually, that's the education. That's the philosophy. So as a descent as a more descent native Moor, I'll bind that around my neck as a piece of jewelry. It's precious to me. It's like a mother to me. I can turn back to my homeland, my mother, and look at what my mother left me, a treaty. So intellectually, it is feminine. Protect us, because it's not just for now, it's for after that. It's for later on, not just for then, it's for now. It wasn't just for then, it's for now. So if a physical woman did signing, what do that mean? Because wisdom is not described as masculine. A wisdom is described as her, a woman, feminine. So we got to understand this. Y'all females understand this. That everything got to have a female present, a body. Intellectually, the attributes, the energy represents the feminine is enough to be there right there. That's enough right there. The energy. The energy be everything. The energy.
Make sure you get caught. Hold on, don't stop talking. Get caught. Get that. I don't want you to choke.
Yeah, I had a pickle, a dull pickle, and had me coughing.
You talking at the see, yeah. I do that. I do that. So I'm just saying. Don't be like
all right,
me.
the person that made the comment said no disrespect, but he is a man. And then he said, let me see. No disrespect, it's just been on my mind for some time. And then he said he's implying, will our women want to be involved knowing that they had no say in these decisions? And then someone else said we should be asking the women, why are y'all not part of this?
Well, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
Yes, that's fair. But look at it. Look at it like this. Look what you do with me, Professor Abdullah. You participate with us. We're not ruling you. We're not demanding you. We're not commanding you. You are working with us as assistant. But you work with
that's right. I'm honored.
And you on equal footing.
What did you say, Abdullah?
I said you reached out to us, and I'm honored for that.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You're on equal footing with us. You here holding a conversation, a meeting on equal footing with us. Equal footing with us.
That's true. That's true. We ain't dominating nobody.
All right. I don't see any other questions. There is 27 people in the chat, and the conversation has been good. Do you want to close out with?
Yeah, this has been real. All of them are good. I mean, Nazmin, thank you again, Shem. Once again, you do your thing. All right, that's without saying. All right, I want to thank y'all for joining us. All right, so please like, subscribe. Once again, we have the on the I will be in West Virginia. That was posted last week. It's also pinned on my Abdullah Bey Facebook page, my Moorish Civil Letter Instagram, and Moors and Masonry Moors and Masonry Instagram, Moors Civil Letter TikTok. The flyers pinned there. Also put so I'll be in West Virginia speaking at the Beni Kandim Shrine Temple on September 8th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be streamed live, and once the premiere is up, we'll let you know. But it will be streamed live. You'll be able to watch it. It's a free event, and you'll be watching me from. You'll be broadcast live from the West Virginia. Also, the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. We have, once again, as I said, the Moorish Treaty Protection of Constellations 101, Moorish Treaty Protection of Constellations 201 courses. There free classes that advise about 16 classes, and we also have the Moorish Treaty Protection Consular, Moorish Treaty, Moorish Governmental Formation courses. That's about 12 classes. They're free on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Please. Also, we're being broadcast on four. We have the MTV. What's the M? Help me out, Najma. What's your platform?
Moorish Master Teachers.
Moorish Master Teachers Facebook page. Moorish Master Teachers Facebook page. We're being broadcast live now. Also, the Moorish Master Teachers YouTube page. So, Moorish Master Teachers YouTube page, Moorish Master Teachers Facebook page. We have the Moorish Treaty Protection. Moroccan Post Media YouTube page, and we have the give me the full name of your Ma'at TV DMV. Ma'at TV DMV. So it's on. We're being broadcast live on 4 different platforms.
Ashe.
Shim?
Oh.
Yes. I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to contribute to every one of us, so we come together as our own community and have elections among ourselves and delegate authority among ourselves of certain men and women, so we can legislate our own laws and acts to govern ourselves in our own land. Abdullah said it right. The first thing we have to do, you come back and claim the land, everything else come with that. Traveling, everything is coming. The only problem we have is, in order to do this, we have to have a government structure. Because with that, we can interface these other governments with diplomatic affairs, diplomatic relationships. And by doing that, I mean your government becomes your protector. Anytime you're doing something, your government steps in and protect you. Why? Because the government acts not only as a protector, as a mother to a nurse. What does she have to offer? She has to offer the laws, the philosophy, education, the wisdom, the knowledge which government is given to all men and women to enforce on their own land, protect their own nationals. So we doing the right thing. If we keep going this way, all we got to do is a simple thing. Stop forcing each other, lying like we doing something. Don't be a thief and a robber. Don't go right here, listen to men and women stealing their wisdom like a thief and robber, and go out here and try to assemble a bunch of people and go against the grain. That's what we got going on out here. A lot of men and women have learned government from me, Abdul and Tamara. Yes, they did a government course. Now they running out here, intimidating the other Moorish communities about you gotta do this. No, how you learn? How you learn? You learn from us. Stop being a bully. Stop bullying your damn Moorish people. Stop doing that. Please. Stop doing it.
He's right on that. He's right.
Oh, the bullies. Lordy. Thank you for that, Shem. That was both of you. Powerful closing. Back to homage to the women. I don't know, Richard Montgomery, brother, you said the hospital took your mother in the beginning. We were talking about the rate of women, in particular melanated women that are passing away these days, giving birth in the hospital. The rate is off the chain. I don't know what you meant by the hospital took your mother, but I understand where you're coming from when you say that. So in closing, I just want to say we have to protect ourselves, women, and brothers, we do a better job as well. So from that, Mayat TV DMV, everybody have a good week. Stay powerful, keep your vibration up, and let's give some energy to the country, Niger. It's a lot of politics going on over there right now. Let's energy to that issue. All right, I love everyone. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, Shem, and thank you for everyone in the chat. Peace and love.
Peace and love.